The divorce was signed on a Tuesday that looked ordinary in every possible way, the kind of day people forget before it even ends, the kind of day that never warns you it is about to become the most important turning point of your life. No raised voices. No dramatic courtroom collapse. No final kiss. Just ink on paper, a judge's indifferent approval, and two people walking out of a building as if they had chosen peace instead of war. Everyone thought it was over. Even he thought it was over. That was the first lie. Because that night, at exactly 2:17 a.m., he heard the front door unlock. He didn't move at first. People who have lived long enough in a quiet house learn the difference between danger and memory. This felt like neither. It felt like habit. Soft footsteps crossed the hallway. The floorboards didn't creak the way they used to. Someone had learned where to step. The bedroom door opened slowly, not as an intrusion, but as if she still belonged there. And in the faint spill of streetlight through the blinds, he saw her again. His ex-wife. The woman who had signed away their marriage 12 hours earlier. She didn't speak. She didn't explain. She simply placed a duffel bag beside the bed, as if she had never left in the first place. And then she did something even more impossible. She lay down beside him like the world outside that room had no authority over what happened inside it. For 3 nights, he said nothing. On the 4th, he finally asked her the question that had been burning a hole through his chest since the ink dried. "Why are you still here?" She didn't answer immediately. She stared at the ceiling like it was hiding something more honest than either of them. Then she said, almost in a whisper, "Because the divorce wasn't real in the way you think it was." That should have been the moment he called the police. Or locked the door. Or demanded the truth like any sane person would. But truth has a strange gravity when it arrives too late. It doesn't feel like information. It feels like impact. The next morning, she was gone before sunrise. But she left something behind. A manila envelope tucked beneath his laptop. No name. No warning. Just wait. Inside were documents he was never meant to see. Legal filings stamped with sealed markings. Surveillance summaries with redacted lines that still felt like they were watching him. And then a list. Names, coordinates, codes. And one page that made his stomach go cold before his mind even understood why. His own name. Marked in a column labeled Active Priority Elimination. For a full minute, he didn't breathe correctly. The world didn't tilt. It sharpened. Every sound outside the apartment felt suddenly intentional. A car door slamming. A distant engine idling too long. The hum of electricity in the walls. Everything became a question with no safe answer. And then he saw the final document. A marriage dissolution filed under special jurisdiction. Expedited. Classified protection clause embedded in legal language so dense it almost looked like nonsense unless you knew what you were looking at. The divorce wasn't a separation. It was a disappearance. That night she came back earlier than usual, like she already knew the storm had reached him. She didn't ask what he found. She simply sat across from him at the kitchen table and waited, as if patience was part of her training and silence was just another weapon. "You were never supposed to see the full file," she said. "So it's real," he replied. She nodded once. Not gently. Not emotionally. Professionally. Like confirming a report. "They flagged you 6 months ago," she continued. "You were never the target. You were the leverage. Through you, they could reach me." His mouth went dry. "Who are they?" She hesitated for the first time. Just a fraction of a second too long. And that hesitation told him more than any answer could. "People who don't exist in the way people think people exist," she said finally. He laughed once, but there was no humor in it. "That's not an answer. It's the only one I can give you and still keep you alive." That sentence changed the air in the room. Not metaphorically. Literally. It felt like oxygen had been reduced. He leaned forward. "So the divorce, what? It resets something. Legally erases me from you." "It breaks the chain," she said. "Marriage records. Shared assets. Surveillance overlaps. Emergency contact linkage. You don't understand how deep administrative visibility goes when someone is flagged at my level." "At your level," he repeated slowly. What exactly are you? For the first time, she looked away. And that was worse than any confession. I was assigned to neutralize threats embedded inside civilian infrastructure networks, she said. You were never supposed to become one of them. He stared at her like she had become a stranger wearing his wife's face. And instead of telling me the truth, you married me. No, she said. I married you because I thought I could remove you from the equation permanently. That silence after her words wasn't empty. It was collapsing. He stood up from the table, pacing once, twice, trying to find the logic inside it. So I'm dead on paper. That's what you're saying. I'm erased. Protected, she corrected. If you're legally gone from me, they lose the most direct path to you. It buys time. It confuses tracking. It breaks predictive linkage models. Buy time for what? She finally looked at him again. For me to finish what I started before they realize I failed. A distant sound echoed outside. A car passing too slowly. Or maybe not slowly enough. He noticed things now that he never used to notice. That was the curse of knowing. You think they're watching us right now? He asked quietly. I don't think, she said. I know. The next few days blurred into a pattern that felt like normal life pretending to be normal. She still left at odd hours. Still returned without explanation. Still slept beside him like proximity could rewrite reality. But now everything had edges. Every reflection felt slightly delayed. Every stranger outside felt like they were looking through the windows rather than at them. Then came the second envelope. This one arrived without her. No knock. No sound. Just slipped under the door sometime between midnight and dawn. Inside was a photograph of him sleeping, taken from inside the room. And on the back, a single line. Divorce status verified. Proceeding to phase 2. He didn't move for a long time after reading it. Fear doesn't always arrive as panic. Sometimes it arrives as stillness. A complete absence of decision. When she returned that night, he was already waiting. This is no longer protection, he said. Her expression changed instantly. Who contacted you? He held up the photo. Everything in her face tightened, not with surprise, but with calculation. They escalated faster than I expected, she said. That's it. That's your response. She crossed the room quickly now, urgency replacing composure. Listen to me. You need to leave the city. Tonight. No phones. No patterns. No predictable routes. He stepped back. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me the truth. For the first time, she raised her voice. The truth is you are already inside a system that decided your outcome months ago. That hit harder than anything else. She softened immediately after, like she regretted the fracture. I tried to remove you from it, she said more quietly. The divorce wasn't just paperwork. It was a signal disruption event. It tells them we're no longer connected. It makes you statistically irrelevant again. Again, he echoed. She didn't answer. And in that silence, he understood something worse than everything else combined. This wasn't the beginning of danger. This was the continuation of one he never knew he was already inside. That night, they didn't sleep. Instead, they packed a single bag. Not because they were leaving together, but because she insisted he might only have minutes if she was wrong about timing. She moved through the house like someone counting invisible clocks. At 3:06 a.m., she froze. They're close, she said. How close? She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the window and pulled the curtain slightly. On the street below, a car idled without headlights. Then another pulled up behind it. And then another. 3 vehicles. No movement. No urgency. Just presence. He felt his pulse drop. Police. No, she said. Not police. What do we do? She turned to him, and for the first time since this began, her voice wasn't controlled. We disappear in a way even I wasn't trained for. A sharp knock hit the front door. Not loud. Not frantic. Precise. One knock. Then silence. Then another. She grabbed his wrist. and in a whisper that felt like the edge of everything, she said, "No matter what happens next, you were never the target. You were the exit route." The knocking turned into a steady rhythm now. Patient. Certain. And just before the lock gave way, she looked at him one last time, not like an operative, not like a stranger, but like the version of her that had once chosen him without calculation. "I'm sorry," she said. And then the door opened.